This video is brought to you by the $4 Patreon tier. More on that at the end of the video. Really great job exhibiting the fear in their faces as they flee this demon. Then contrasting that with Emma and her pretty much fearless nature, reminding us of how brave she is even in the face of such danger, and also how she uses this to motivate and prop up the morale of those around her. I also feel like placing her at the very rear also further demonstrates the last point brilliantly, especially since she stops to help up a fallen child even in spite of being in the extreme rear of the group already. I feel like this statement will be super poignant in coming episodes. The thrill and joy of finally getting to witness the outside world and then having that joy be contrasted against the constant feeling of being hunted as opposed to living a comfortable, albeit incredibly short, sheltered life back at the home. Interesting OP with a very nice backing tune to it as we see some parallels between the children at their time in their home eating away together while the demons were together eating them. The OP also carries a strong message of hope, sticking together, family, working hard and pressing forward to a brighter future, and also doesn't give much away, which I'm a big fan of. I adore world building like this, just gently guiding us by the hand instead of dragging us along as they showcase some interesting elements to this new outside world, such as floating animals and a completely different colour palette to this forest. At the same time though, they show that these kids have retained their childhood nature, running around, playing and having fun while the pressure is off, as Emma and Ray act as the adults keeping a watchful eye on their surroundings, just like they did in the first season. Again, awesome world building. I mean, look at the size of that tree! Killua from Hunter x Hunter voicing this character will never not equal a win.
I
Taking this brief respite as an opportunity to remind the viewer of his actions during Season 1 and what led to the injuries that seem to be affecting her quite badly now at the start of Season 2. It also, in the same scene, serves as a reminder of Emma's kind nature in how she responds to him. On top of enjoying this moment as Ray affirms his commitment to the entire group and pledging to keep himself and them alive for good, I'm also happy to point out, so far anyway, how consistent the animation is from Season 1. It's pretty much identical to my eyes, and that's rarely always the case. It's so clever to start off episode 1 like this, rather than try and have us believe that they managed to pack enough water and food to last them to wherever it is that they're heading to without issue. They also nicely addressed this earlier, having someone tell the kids to eat slow and steady to make their rations last. Oh, I love stuff like that! It's so clever and intriguing!
Such
an awesome job is done here of building the mystery behind who has been sending out these books and stuff all along. Someone who clearly has access to tech and has help to boot. Very smart to have the little girl notice both the flower at the start of the episode from the book and then ultimately this potentially life-saving plant. All information gifted to them inside the books at the library. Learning that the demons are in hot pursuit and getting another good look at them. Genuinely beautiful CGI. I gotta say, that's some smooth CGI. Reminds me of Attack on Titan's recent great CGI efforts, and also I'm enjoying getting this view of a demon, showing how they really do come in all shapes and sizes.
そう。この下に落ちれば二度と上がってこられない。
This world really is just filled to the brim with insanely high levels of danger, just making each episode feel even more nerve-wracking. I gotta say, so far anyway, I'm really enjoying the difference between the slow-burning mystery and threats of Season 1 with the action and real-world threats of Season 2.
俺とお前、鬼ごっこ強いのどっちだ？レイ。だろ？俺に任せろ。ギルダたちと合流して風下へ走れ。
I like to think that the intelligent Rey has actually low-key noticed that Emma is suffering with her ear, perhaps believing to have caused the early signs of an infection, slowing her and her reactions down a little and causing her to pant and sweat during earlier scenes after light exercise, and so he's stepping up in spite of the danger and choosing to do it alone. If I'm right, that's just very subtle and nicely demonstrated here and in prior scenes where I noticed signs of her struggling and Rey also seeing it.
そうだ。Extreme high levels of plot twistedness as we see Rey enacting his plan only to have his foe's noggin chopped off right before he could finish it by an unseen foe.
そこにいるんだろう。出ておいで。危なかったね。無事でよかった。
This is brilliant because on top of the danger they've been facing all along since escaping, they're now faced with an enemy who is capable of tracking them down so calmly and easily. Just adds even more tension.
だから出ておいで。君一人かい？他の子はどうした？わかったろ。
Rey's intelligence continues to pay dividends as he listens to his enemy and smiles upon realizing that they don't know where the other kids are, and so he plans to draw them away while leaving behind a message to meet back up.
こっちよ。こっち。
Plot twist! Ever since Season 1, they've always done a fantastic job during voice acting of panting. Might sound silly, but when you're in Season 1 and they're in immeasurably tense situations, and now in Season 2 running like crazy for their lives, you've got to make it sound realistic, and their voice actors just nail it. So many plot twists!
ミネルヴァさんじゃないの。ミネルヴァ？知らない？ウィリアム・ミネルヴァ。さあ、そう。
Absolutely stunning piece of music right there. Has a real mystery vibe to it, like they're being welcomed into a whole new world.
教えてくれよ。なあ、お兄さんよ。
The end to this episode gets a win all day long. Beautiful ED right there with a gloriously relaxing song, just like most EDs to be honest I'm noticing nowadays, but also it does a nice job of retaining the mystery element and giving nothing away. Lastly, I also enjoyed how the demon's religious aspect is shown by the girl's shadow forming a cross. Not running on the spot. Also though, what a great way to begin the episode after how it ended on a cliffhanger with the anticipation of danger, only to have that seemingly tossed aside by how calm and open they're being.
だからあなたたちのことも食べるつもりはないのよ。安心して。
Being nice to demon animals and humans is always a win.
ごめんなさい。助けてもらったのに疑って。 人間を食べない鬼がいるなんて考えもしなかった。
This moment got the anime a sin off on anime sins.
信仰のためさ。信仰のために人間を食わないと決めている。ただし人間だ。
Further great world building as we learn that not only do humans manage to exist outside the farms, at least that's the belief still at this point, but also that there are demons opposed to eating humans and thus live as outcasts from their society of demons.
互いに嫌気がさした頃。 人間側から一つの提案が持ち出された。人間は鬼を狩らない。だから鬼も人間を狩らない。 お互い世界を住み分け。
That to me is probably one of the best twists I could have imagined for this anime and its world. Just the notion of an entirely different human civilization alongside a demon one fills me to the brim with excitement at the sheer amount of possibilities.
私もすんなり行くとは思ってない。でも希望に形が見えてきた。出たとこ勝負で出てきたけど、とにかくそれしかなかったけど道が見えた。
I really love this side to her personality as she gives an impassioned speech to rile up the hopes of all of the children around her.
この外の世界を生き抜く最低限の知識と技術を。
Even though it's slightly rushed, it's still good to understand that they're teaching the children essentials such as first aid, gathering drinkable water, and how to prepare a fire and so on.
実現だ。ごめんなさい。でもじゃない。ごめんなさい。
言われてる。
エマとレイが俺たちのこと心配してくれるように、今回俺たちすげえ心配したんだよ。
あ、ドンとギルダも泣きそうだった。
This scene reminding us that the others don't just take for granted the strength displayed by the leaders and realize that they're human and thus want to let them know how needed they are by the group and how valuable they are.
生きているうちに刺すの。
そうでなきゃ血抜きにならん。大丈夫。気絶している。苦痛はない。
Learning about the origins behind the strange flower first shown during the first season, something that really interested me all of this time as to its purpose. The end of the episode kind of showing the growth of Emma as she comes to realise the cruel reality of the world, that in order to survive you must eat others. Not the case for your boy here as a veggie, but for them I suppose it's a must. It also poses the question as to whether or not she's considering the demon's position in all of this, especially since their ritual is done with respect. Are they really cruel for feeding upon humans as they feed upon the animals? God, I adore dedication like that! This short scene had like 25 frames, it's insane! I feel like very few animation companies would have chosen to animate this as well in such a fashion, where it's far out and you're animating various moving people.
間違っても森や水辺に近づくなよ。絶対にだ。じゃあ気をつけてな。
I'm gonna drop a win here for these demons. They really were a treat to see how different some of them can be, how demons can be very unique, just as humans are.
ソンジュは人間を食べたいのね。
ああ。原初信仰の教義上、狩猟という形で神が作り出した命をいただくのなら、もう一度食いてえな。腹いっぱい人間をよ。
Absolutely massively fat friendly demon I only just praised actually wants to eat humans related plot twist! Can't show it, but the anime is doing a fantastic job thus far of keeping me on my toes as they show the hungry demon from just now taking out his own kind in the forest. I'm very confused about his intentions and that equals a win.
レイ、こっち何か出てきた。本当にあった。嘘つきじゃなかった。
Oh, I love stuff like this. It's like an episode of frickin' Lost or something.
これ映ってるの外？
多分な。
エマ。
無線機。これ手紙？
So just interrupting here to say I'm loving the world building even more because it opens up so many questions like who built this place and why, are there others like it, and who really is William? Loving it!
あれ？おかしいな。涙があれ。ソンジュたちにも助けてもらえて。
This got me feeling all warm and happy, and yet at the same time, I also feel like it's way too early to celebrate, but let's continue forward very tentatively. Great end to the episode as more mystery juice is poured on top of the lightly garnished puzzled steaks that they've been cooking for the past few episodes. Yet more evidence of this tale's brilliant ability to build its story while revealing and building old and new mysteries respectively.
人間たちのいる世界に行ける。
まずこのシェルターで生活の基盤を作って、それからハウスに戻って フィルたちを連れ出そう。
I'm really glad that they addressed this rather than simply moving forward to the human realm, instead taking the time to build that base into something they can use to meet their goals. Lovely piece of soft music over this training and preparing montage that continues to remind me of how stunning this anime's music score often can be.
たくしょうがねえな。俺たちにはヌルリンを発見した責任がある。
ずりーぞお前ら。
付き合うぜ。
お前はもっとずるい。
It's nice that the second season is taking the opportunity to build up some of the lesser known characters from season 1, especially since Ray and Emma were built up nicely already, as have the other two older kids featured more in the second half of season 1 and the first few episodes here.
会いたいんでしょあの子たちに。いい知らせよ。もうすぐ会える。
Finding out that she's still alive and being held in a prison after everything that previously transpired at her house.
可能な限り近くにアジトを構えて。
Oh my god, are you freaking kidding me? World's biggest plot twist ever, get out of it!
B 地点異常なし現状を維持しろ
Also, though, on top of what can only be described as a god-level plot twist, or GLPT, is the fact that these kids were smart enough to put together and then perfectly execute a perfect extraction plan, and that it's what looks to be humans that have raided the bunker. For all of that, especially the GLPT, they can take 2 wins.
こっち。次はこっち。すごいね。だっていつも遊んでたから。
I was almost ready to sin this earlier during the episode on the Anime Sins version as to why they hadn't fully explored these tunnels, given that danger could have just as easily crept up on them this way, so I'm really glad they poured cement over that potential plot hole right there. Can't show it, but I'm so incredibly confused as to why the demons are attacking these humans. Who are the humans? Are they not working with the demons? What are they after? Help me! Ray doing a nice little bit of 180 no scoping.
このグレイスフィールドからの解放だその首の数字を消し心臓の装置も外し自由にしてやる
Throwing in this at the end of the episode, having her once again enter the anime in a pivotal role.
必ず連れ戻します。あの裏切り者の食用児たちを。一人残さず。
Also, shout out to this awesome sounding piece of The Witcher 3 type music. Again, another example of the anime's great score. Nice way of linking this to the start of the first episode, where the once again terrified children are forced to run for their lives, literally as not only demons hunt them, but now also humans. Man, oh man, getting a real treat for the eyes at the start of episode 5 of A Demon City and how its inhabitants go about their daily lives.
エマ、どうだった？
じゃじゃーん。よいしょ。
おー、ごめん。
Honestly, genuinely really shocked to see a time jump from the previous episode. All I hope for, though, is an explanation, even a rough one of how they escaped and ended up here, and I'll be happy. At this point, I should mention I'm an anime-only guy, so I have no idea about missing content other than what I've read in my comments.
明日こそいっぱい取ってくるから。無理しないで。みんなで分け合えばいいもんね。スープの作り方、工夫したらいいよ。
Even though they skipped forward in time, it's good to take a moment to demonstrate just how far along the kids have come. At the start they would whine easily, complain about little things, but now they're desperate to put the older kids at ease for their hard work, content with what they have, working together seamlessly.
分かってた。分かって外へ連れ出したのに。みんなを守らなければならないのに。
While also moving forward the kids' characters as a group, it's good to see the same can be said for Emma, now more on edge than ever before, feeling as though she's not good enough for the kids and is letting them down, seeming to mentally struggle with the decisions of the past, as Ray continues to be the solid and dependable rock he promised he would be.
君はエマというのか。いい名前だな。
Emma's demonstration of her kind nature, even towards a demon who could eat her right there and then, that also then beautifully links into what happens later on. So it doesn't come out of nowhere, instead she's been showing this kindness for a long time.
農園がもっと我々にも肉を分け与えてくれれば、このままではこの先この町でも野良に退化するものも出てくるかもしれない。
Then we get this wonderfully dark reminder that even someone like this, old and frail, has been eating their brothers and sisters from the other farms.
ハウス出てからずっと鬼からは逃げてきたのにな。
こんな近くで鬼と喋ることになるなんて。
A nice way of dropping exposition right there, working it into a conversation where it fits and makes sense.
おい。
早くこいつらにまともな肉を食わせてやらねえと。
Something that hasn't been done up till this point is that right there, having us the viewer attempt to try and feel sorry for a demon. I mean, they just did it with the blind demon, but it didn't last long, obviously, but this right here is a great way to show the other side of the equation.
ほら、チビ。
どうした？
なんかうまそうな匂いがするな。I love how they established these non-verbal communications just for this kind of scenario, and thus were able to very easily split up and navigate their way around the town and come back together. Just shows the lengths they've gone to in order to teach survival techniques to the kids.
どうしてノーマン
What the hell is going on right now? Someone get my inhaler. I think I just grew back into my childhood asthma because I can't breathe after that GLPT. Take a maximum rare 2 wins.
会いたかった。ずっと無事でよかった、エマ。
Also, I only just noticed, but they've actually aged a few of the characters quite clearly, such as their height. That's a nice touch.
鬼の姿形が様々なのは食べたものの姿や能力を取り込むことができるからなんだ。鬼たちは人間を食べ続けることで今の姿と知能を維持してきた。
It now makes so much more sense why they did the things they did at the farm. So it wasn't just about the smartest brain is the tastiest, it was about so much more, and that's really clever.
ノーマンの作戦のこと。あれ、本当は嫌なんじゃね？でもそれはお前が望む未来じゃないんだろ。
Ray once again proving an early win was correct in terms of his watchful eye, noticing a slightly disappointed looking Emma when Norman read out his plan. Ultimately, it kind of makes sense as well, especially since she's witnessed good demons, and so she dislikes the idea of wiping them all out.
ここに来て気づいたの。鬼たちにもちゃんと名前があって、考えがあって、大事な家族がいて。
Her conflicted nature is also really appealing to me as a character as well, because she's not simply the hero in the story, but there's more to it than that, as she struggles with this self-hatred of being selfish by not wanting to kill them either.
何か解決策は？
ない。
それ的なアドバイスは？
ない。
じゃあわざわざほじくり返さなくてもいいじゃない。
しかもお前の場合、どうせそれが一番面倒なタイミングで起こって一番面倒な方向に一人突っ走ってったりすんだよ。
Again, super clever character development for me in how Ray is handled here. Yes, it was funny that he said he had no plans to help, but it was more that he wanted to expose her true feelings, knowing how she can often act on impulse, and that may endanger the group later on. Just shows how well he knows her now.
サンジュとムジか。
そう。あの二人は人間を食べていない。
なのにサンジュとムジカも人型だったし。
Dropping a win here for this music. I still love that beyond words. It's stunning.
サンジュとムジカ。
そう。あの二人は人間を食べていない。
なのにサンジュとムジカも人型だったし。
Also though, because I totally forgot how the demons existed without eating humans earlier on and yet hadn't turned, so there's a new secret being revealed right there, and I love that at a time when so many are being brought into the light all at once.
けどそれもこれもノーマンが計画を実行に移す前に話す必要がある。正直俺は鬼との共存は不可能だと思うけどな。
Take another win here for this scene as Ray continues to prove how he is the rock and stability for the group that he promised he would be all along after their escape.
あれ、
お前らボスのグレイスシールドの仲間。
Getting to finally and properly see other humans for the first time in the flesh. This is wild!
早く奴らを皆殺しにして鬼を一匹消すたびに俺は胸の内がスカッとするんだ。
ぶっ殺して奴らの肉を食うとムカムカが消える。じゃあまさかその肉。
Awesome twist here that supports Emma and her newly formed feelings, but they're also being careful not to tip the scales too heavily in favour of humans being bad, and they do this by following the revelation of their bloodlust and actual consuming of demon flesh by talking about the horrors they were subjected to at the hands of the demons. It's just a smart way of making us confused in our own feelings.
おかしいよ。ああ、でも受けた苦しみは紛れもなくて憎むななんて言えることじゃない。
Ray is actually becoming a more and more interesting character because he's like the middle ground on all of this. He has his own feelings, but also because of his past he wants to support Emma and her views for a better world. He's not someone going along with everything she says for no reason, he's just balancing the scales and is a good character to explain away other people's feelings, such as right here.
それは少女の姿をした鬼だった。
ノーマン？
まさか邪血の少女はまだ生きていたのか。
Man, this anime loves plot twists and cliffhanger endings, and I love it all the more for that very reason.
彼女の血を、その力を恐れたからさ。
どうして？怖いことなんて何もない。
支配者側からすれば農園による人間の供給を握れればいつ誰にどれだけ肉を与えるかで意図的な格差を作れる。
Having the demon who helped them be an ancient figure of demon history, one who tips the scales of balance in their world, hated and hunted by their king and nobles, is a really intriguing dynamic on top of its world-building elements.
行き来の門は残されてはいる。グレイスフィールドハウスだよ。
苦労して逃げ出してきた場所に出口があるなんてな。
Incredible irony as it's revealed that the very last passage between the human realm and the demon world that they're currently in is the very spot where the children first escaped from. That's some epic poetry right there, and also forces Ray's mother back into the spotlight since that's roughly where she is.
全食用児を救うには間違えるわけにはいかない。
ノーマン！また一人で遠くに行っちゃうの？ねえ。 正しいとかじゃなくてノーマンはそうしたいの？
I think it makes a lot of sense for the sake of their characters to have Norman be this way rather than dropping everything he's worked on for so long all for the sake of her ideals. Like, I get where she's coming from, but I also very strongly support Norman's plan as the best course of action. It's just good that they don't fold immediately and change plans.
これが鬼なんだよ。私たち人間の命なんて物以下、家畜以下。 それが当然だと思ってる。
ボスはこっち側だよな。ボスはボスだよな。迷ってなんかないよな。
Right here, the Promised Neverland story requires a lot of praise, because it's managed to really nicely keep tipping the scales of demons are bad versus demons deserve to live back and forth. Most anime struggle with this a little. It's either one extreme or the other. But here, as the episodes go by, they do a wonderful job of having us pity demons, the blind one, the children wasting away whose parents wish to save them. Then they contrast this with a slow reveal of the horrors that were inflicted upon these humans, making us feel for them. It's really nicely balanced. Can't show it, but perfectly timed reveal based on what I just mentioned in the previous win as we witness what horrors Norman has been doing down in the basement to his own demon subjects. Without showing the internal body juices, it now makes way more sense why Norman is acting how he is, since he's doing it to save his life potentially, but more than likely it's to save humanity before his time runs out.
こんばんは。はじめまして、ノーマン。
Finally getting to witness what actually happened to Norman right here at this point in time from the first season.
22194のデータはどのテストでも驚異的な数値を出しています。
It's so very bizarre getting to see humans and demons working like this side by side, and to say I'm excited to find out to what end this is happening would be a massive understatement. All I can say is that the anime doesn't half get dark with its visuals sometimes, and I don't hate it at all. Honestly, I don't quite understand the hate on demons done in CGI like that. It's not that bad at all, and there's a massive difference between CGI done poorly and done right. Sometimes larger things like this are just done better with CGI to save time. Same with the Titans in Attack on Titan. Oh god, that was super close to some Wilhelm and the White Whale stuff from season 1 of ReZero. Watch that anime if you haven't already, but regardless, that was close! Perfectly in line with everything I've been saying, we've now fully switched gears in order to allow us to witness decent and innocent demons now being subjected to horrors at the hands of humans instead.
君は人間なのか。いつかこんな日が来ると思っていた。
That's some lovely poetry again right there. Really nice.
エマ、この血を飲んで逃げろ。 Oh man, there's something about kind old men and or little innocent kids that really get me emotional in scenes like this.
もう引き返すことはできないんだ。
遅いなんてことない。弱くてもいいんだよ。それが本当のノーマンなら。
I heard some people were picking at this scene, and I get how you might not understand it fully and what they're getting at if you don't dive into it a little. This is basically all about them sticking together as kids, having each other's backs, and suffering as a group if they have to, and laughing as a group when they can. Essentially going through it all together as one. Norman wants to go off and shoulder this murderous burden himself, going it alone, metaphorically speaking, and Emma and Ray are dead set against that. Whilst I still naturally question this guy's motives after his earlier statements, it's really good to see him helping out in the town, and on top of that we get to witness how strong their blood really is, immediately returning those who've changed back to their original selves.
でも復讐よりボスの方が大事だ。
おう。
みんな。
A nice little twist here to have this crew change their ways after speaking with Norman rather than going off on their own and doing what they want, which I feel like would have been the predictable turn of events.
これで死ななくてもいいんだな。
よかった。ボス。
Even though on the Sins version I've pointed out how incredibly fortuitous it is to have come across this part of the pen containing these blueprints, which happen to nicely point them in the direction of a room which contains a cure to their sickness, it's still a win on this version regardless that we have something to not only save these new guys in the anime, but also most importantly, Norman.
あなたは私たちの仲間にいっぱいひどいことされたんでしょ？ごめんね。
Oh, not gonna lie, that's pretty kawaii.
情報がある。取引がしたい。
What? You gotta be kidding me!
あれは我々が作った薬剤の実験によるものだ。
わかった。君を信じよう。
Okay, you gonna got me again, you sassy pants, you. This intense music as the start of the plan comes into play to finally go back and save the children who were left behind an entire year ago.
いない？どこだ？投げ出されたか？
That's clever!
これはあのヤクザ。
Finally getting a chance at seeing them taking on demons like this. Outside of the bows and arrows occasions a couple episodes ago, it was always feeling like they're being hunted, whereas now they're really showing how trained they've become. Seeing his awesome little reaction to knowing he and his friends are at last being saved warmed up my old heart. Also, take another one here for the voice acting this season as a whole, which I don't believe I've actually mentioned. They've all done a great job once again. With this music kicking in and everything that's going on, your boy is getting hyped! This. Go on then. GLPT. Take last, maximum 2 wins award. Did not expect that.
素晴らしいわ。それでこそ私が育てた子供たちね。
I'm so confused! So many plot twists, I'm incredibly dizzy, but now the commoners, they ultimately ended up helping and saving a rebelling and it's sick!
Emma.
自由になろうよ。一緒に生きよう。ピーター・ラートリー。
Wow, even Emma's kindness reaches out to those such as him. That's insane.
できない。そんなことできるはずがない。
できるよ。今までにないからこれから作るんだ。
One of Emma's best qualities absolutely has to be her ability to change people's minds to what is actually right. She's done it time and time again over the course of both seasons, and it's been amazing to see. Getting to finally see more of the backstory behind William and everything that his clan achieved over the years to broker peace that he ultimately ended up not being able to live with.
あなたにすまないと。
If they wanted him to have a redemption with us the viewer, then showing his regret or at least sorrow at having taken out his brother is a great way to go about it, as tears roll down his face and he lets out a painful scream.
自由になりたかったの？すまない。僕を自由にさせたかったの？
Linking the owl to his wish to be free from the fate of being in charge of the clan leading human children down the path they were being led to makes his use of the image very much iconic. The look on Emma's face right there as she rushes towards him is really telling of her personality all along when it came to not wanting to lose anyone along the way to freedom. Not a soul was she willing to lose in this fight, and that was insanely well done.
イベルク様。
Oh heck yes, I've been waiting for this since the earlier episode that first mentioned a king and nobles, and finally here it is!
それに忘れたの？私にはあなたたちと生きる資格なんて。
ごちゃごちゃうるせえ。死んで終わりになんかさせるかよ。悔いがあるなら生きて人間の世界で晴らせよ。生きてこそ償える罪も晴らせる悔いもある。もういいんだよ。もう誰も恨んでない。
Ray being that perfect, balanced argument and voice of reason I mentioned before as he speaks to his own mother about living with regret and putting it behind you and moving on. It's a powerful statement.
やっぱりみんなママのことが大好きなんだよ。どんなに裏切られてもママが自分を許せなくても私たちにとって母親はママだけなんだよ。だから一緒に生きようよ、ママ。
Yeah, not gonna lie, that was emotional as hell and only children could do that. Forgiving everything and looking past everything that had happened. That was so damn touching.
ありがとう。助けに来てくれて。
エマ、君に出会えてよかったよ。達者でな。
Emma saying a final goodbye to a demon who actually turned out to be a really decent guy who himself regretted his past actions and wanted to do better and be better.
私たちはまだいけない。何言ってんだよ。
It's really awesome to see these three have their own ideas about not yet leaving, since Emma wants to try and fulfill her iconic pledge to actually change their world, and Norman wants to help those he came across, while Ray is thinking of their future security.
わかった。私も他の子たちを助ける。ミネルヴァさんみたいに。
Super emotional scene as they part ways and that music plays in the background.
フィル。エマ。わかった。僕も頑張る。待ってるからね。
Phil is such a trooper beyond his age, like he literally held out an entire year, keeping everyone ready, keeping the secret to himself, playing and having fun while really he was carefully watching. The stress would have been unbearable, but he kept it up, and now, true to his nature, is willing to continue that onwards. Little legend. Get out of here with that and that lovely voice acting. Ugh! A look at the human world and how the kids changed during their time there and how it's basically the same as our world. They lived a normal life free of violence and threats. It's crazy. I can't lie and say I'm not disappointed by witnessing so many different and interesting things and yet knowing that none of them are being explained. It's almost like they're saying, yes, you would have heard about all of these adventures had we had the time, but sadly we didn't, so here you go. It's still amazing to see it, don't get me wrong, but it's sad to know that this anime ends here like this. So ultimately, I hope you enjoyed this video. I worked really hard on it, and for me, it was a disappointment to see such an amazing anime get rushed like this, but it is what it is, and my job is to focus on everything that is great about it all the same, and I feel like I've done that. I'll also let you know that if you'd like to pick whatever I win next, you can join up to my Patreon from just $4 per month. Link down below, and also get access to loads of other stuff like exclusive content and such. I hope regardless that you did enjoy this video, and I'd love it if you left a like and a comment to help me out, and of course I'll see you all next time. Nathan Bird without a word, Tyler Warner, PK Fan, Ali 50, Ryan Anderson, Isael Caldera, Chris Harris, Jonas Stahl, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Luis Hernandez, Kim Munt, Jason Davies, The Element Taylor Wars, Manuel Morales, Conito, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Blitzcloud, Keeper, Steelers, Amir Keenan, Sentimento, Jeffa6263, Master Tank, Kevin Nauta, Brendan Krier, Storm 970, Gaten Gaza, Matt the Marshmallow, Kaj Vozelman, Jordan Samuels, Sean Graves, The Epic Commander, Crimson Shadows, Kyle Farmer, Oliver Gable, Kimi O, Adora Blue, Matthew Ditzworth,